Hey guys, Batman. Not just any Batman, but the Dark Knight Trilogy Batman. So, for a long time now, I have pretty much steered clear of the DC Multiverse line. Todd McFarlane, I loved all of his comic book stuff. I really like his art. I think he's a cool guy in a lot of the stuff that I've seen him in. But liking Todd McFarlane does not necessarily mean that I like his toys. McFarlane toys in the DC idea has been hit and miss with me. Sometimes he puts stuff out and I'm like, that right there I have to have. And sometimes he puts things out and I just do not care. Or I feel like the movement is way too stiff or they're way too big. Just issues like that. Now these are small complaints here and there, and some of them are very much nitpicking. This guy, as far as I could tell, looks fantastic. Is he fantastic? I don't know. We'll be making that determination soon. But he's not going to scale to most anything that I have up here. Like, at all. And we will be talking about that as we do this. It's one of the things that's kept me away from the line, is that, to me, these figures seem huge, and it seems like they don't scale with most any other figures on my shelf. And as a personal thing, in terms of my collecting, what I tend to like is mostly the 6-inch area figures. 6-inch figures are pretty decent. I really like Masterverse, and I like the fact that the 112 6-inch figures that have shown up in terms of Storm Collectibles go right with them. That's a Storm Collectible skeleton standing next to a He-Man. You'd never know the difference. Right there, that's Tyrus Flair. She stands right next to Faker. She looks like she belongs in the line. That's fantastic. But some of these figures, like this guy, just looks like he's going to be so big that nobody will scale with him. And sometimes that turns me off of the line very fast. It's one of the reasons why I didn't buy the Thundercats line when I seen it, because although there are some Thundercats things that I like, and I wouldn't mind having a couple of the figures on the shelf, especially if they go well with the Barbarian motif, because I love the Barbarian motif, and I'd be more than happy to add on to the Barbarians sitting on the shelf that go alongside Motu. But if they don't scale well, if they're too tall or too small, well, we all have our particulars, and that's part of what's kept me away from McFarlane Toys. The other thing is that McFarlane Toys seems to go two different extremes. They're either fantastic, or they're making me go, what is that? And I don't know exactly where he falls, but I seen him when I was walking through the store. At first glance, he looked fantastic. So I've got my high hopes here that maybe this can break me into the DC line and make me like these figures a little bit, because the Wonder Woman I bought, after I opened her up and moved her around a little bit, I ended up not liking her. So this will be my second attempt to jump into the DC line. And I'm really hoping here, because I put that other Batman, the Nightfall Batman, on pre-order. So if this turns out to be something that I end up not liking once it's in my hands, that would really suck. But we'll know soon. Let's look at it. Alright, there he is. The box, pretty simple. I gotta say that I like the boxes in terms of store displays. I really do. They got the number up there in case you're one of those people that's trying to collect every single thing in the sets. You know what number you're buying. That's actually pretty cool. This is actually not what I thought it was for a second. That's 22 moving parts. I thought that that was a label number. Some of these type of sets have stuff like that where it'll say, this says like, you know, to build Bane, But that's not what I thought this was. I actually thought that that was one of those tag numbers where I've seen it in certain toy lines where, in fact, this makes my point exactly. I really love it in the G.I. Joe line. In Classified, there's a number right here so you know which one you're getting, and that keeps you collecting and trying to get all of them. So if you were going in order, or not even in order, but if you were just collecting everything from the line, you'd know how many figures there were in terms of what kind of investment you were jumping into. That's what I thought that number was before I read it. I was wrong, but hey, that's whatever. It has the logo right here, which is pretty cool. It could tell you exactly what trilogy you've just bought from. The back showcases Bane, and as far as I could tell, that is that the toy Bane that we would get when all of this is done? That might not actually be the toy. I think that's a 3D representation because I don't see seams here that would make me believe that this is the action figure. And if that's true, I don't necessarily love that. I would have preferred seeing the actual toy on the back here so I could have gotten a more 100% idea of what I was about to invest in. The side is there's that. The bottom, all your information, and of course the top just kind of looks like that. But for a store shelf item, the box is honestly kind of fantastic because this really allows you to see exactly what you're buying. There's no misconception about the toy you are about to invest in, and that is actually a really good thing. But I can already see he's got one of those ties. I really don't like those ties. If you're going to go through the trouble of making this, just make it. Just make the coffin and let us have the figure. Anyways, the box is not something that I'm going to be keeping. Let's unbox him. All right, so here we go. We got Bane legs. It came with Bane legs, which is kind of cool, I guess, if you're trying to make Bane. Fantastic, whatever. These really won't mean anything to me in the long run because I'm not trying to make Bane. Came with the gun, the grapple gun, came with batarangs. Or bat shurikens in this continuity. Also comes with a stand, which I've come to find that in some of these characters' cases is absolutely necessary when it comes to the McFarlane toys. But I'll know soon. So anyways, let's look this guy over. He's got pretty decent... His ankles are only going up and down. Do they have any kind of tilt at all? I don't notice that they do. They go up and down. He does have toes articulation as far as I could tell. That's fine. There's this. There's that. Pretty good. He can kick. I'm actually impressed by that. It almost feels like this guy is a little better quality. Maybe these have gotten quite a bit better since I was buying them, because the last one that I bought was a Wonder Woman, and she did not impress, is what I'll say. That representation, that face is fantastic. It's really good. I'm really impressed. That right there, let me do this here. That's a really good Christian Bale Batman. It's really solid. I'm really impressed by that. I like the suit overall. The color separation seems really good. I like this right here. The cape could be soft goods. I understand why he does this. He likes it to be, at least as far as I can tell, it seems that he really likes stuff to be solid. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining that, but it seems like he avoids soft goods in a lot of material where it would make sense. Pretty good right there. That's really good separation and everything. I like this pad right up here. These shoulders, they got a nice little separation, so they allow him to kind of move but really keep that armor effect going. How high does this go? Nice. Nice. Got that elbow that allows him to go pretty much all the way up, and I could probably get an even better movement out of that if I really tried. But so yeah, cause see right there, that's exactly, yeah, that's fantastic. He has this knee, so can you kick your own butt? Awfully close. He's awfully close to kicking his own butt. That's pretty good. There we go. Yeah. So let's try first to stand him without the stand, okay? And it almost seems like, I don't know, it seems like he's unbalanced, like he has to be stepping forward or something. I don't know. It's kind of bizarre to explain, but it feels, he's not just, I don't know, it almost feels like he was made with two legs that are slightly different length or something. It's probably because this one seems bowed out a bit, actually. And I don't know if I don't feel like I'm imagining that. I think that leg is a little bowed out. I don't know if that's just from being in the box and the way they had him in there, or if there's something to that. Maybe some time got to him. Maybe I need to heat that up and kind of bend his leg back into place a little bit, because it doesn't seem like he's standing. Is he at a weird lean? Like, it's hard for me to tell. It feels like he's at a mild lean, like he should be stepping forward or something. You see what I'm getting at? Like there, he looks a little more natural, like he's stepping forward. That seems a little more right, but it still doesn't seem right, I guess, is the best way to explain it. It's hard for me to say. But I got him standing up. Look, not gonna scale well. Let's put him next to one of my Superman. Here's a Superman that I like quite a bit, actually. So let's bring this one up, and it'll be a chance to show off a Superman that I've never shown off. Not terrible, not terrible. Of course you would fall over, wouldn't you? Not that Superman seems to be faring much better right now, but the Superman, I bought him almost expressly because I really liked this cape. I really liked that effect back when I bought him. I thought that was fantastic. Let's move some stuff over here real quick so we can get better shots. Of course. Now, he used to be on a flying stand, this Superman, because I bought him specifically for that cape, and then I took him off the flying stand, and I've just kind of had him standing, and sometimes he can be a real pain to get to stand up, but there he is, he's standing up, you can see him. Anyways, that's one of my more favorite Superman figures that I have. I have a couple others that I like. He doesn't seem like he'd scale too awful bad, but Batman is still like a bigger than Superman in pretty much every single way. So let's grab him up. I'll put him back on the shelf real quick with the other Superman figures. And of course, now I'm playing against, because I'm trying to make all these guys stand back up exactly where I took them off. But anyways, here's a DC New 52 Wonder Woman. She also is coming up shorter than Batman. Okay, so yeah, pretty much every single character on my DC shelf is going to scale badly with him. What about this Batgirl? You could say that Batgirl's supposed to be a little smaller, so maybe she scales well, if you make that argument. You could make that argument. Here's another one specifically from his line. Here's the Wonder Woman that I bought, and look at how hunched over she is, and she's almost as tall as this Batman. She's one of the ones that I was talking about I bought and I thought was really cool, and then I had her for a little while, and I tried out some different poses, and before I knew it, I started realizing pretty quick that she looks good, but she's kind of a pain. Like, so this is the only hand she came with, so she really needs that sword if she's going to kind of look right. But really, you can only take a couple of poses, and her hair really gets in her way. And of course, the shield constantly falls off because it doesn't have a grip. It just has, like, hold on. You see what I'm getting at? I've had some pretty rough experiences in terms of this line. Let's get her back on this. And of course, there went the sword, because the hand will not hold on to the sword. Like, it just won't. It's like the sword was made wrong or something like that. She has not been the greatest figure that I have ever bought from a line. She has been kind of a pain. And it really put me off because it was the first one. I said, it's a Wonder Woman I don't have. It's pretty cool. I want it. And it really kind of put me off of buying McFarlane figures for a while. And I know that might not be fair because she's one figure, but like sometimes this happens where one figure can pretty much make or break an entire line for you. Now, he has a gun thing, grapple gun. Does it fit his hand well? Oh, okay. So it's gonna play hell with me. Hold on. It's yeah, wow. You know what? No. I'm just going to say no. I'm just going to say no. And that's not to say that you would have the same problem. Maybe you'd get this gun in his hand easily, but I'm not going to fight with it, is what I'm telling you. I'm not going to fight with it. I'm not going to battle to get this gun into his hand. This is a really flimsy, you see this? This is a very flimsy plastic, rubberish material, just fliggies all over the place. And I honestly couldn't care less. Chances are, for my shelf, that's how he's going to display, so it's whatever, but But I hope that gave you a little bit of an idea as to what I've been talking about. I've mentioned a couple times on this channel that I'm not sold on McFarlane toys. They do kind of bother me. Like, they tend to look great, but they look great in almost a statue kind of poise. Like with her, you saw that I brought her down in an action pose, and it was about the best action pose that I could get away with, but the sword fights with me constantly, and every time I try to move her even the littlest bit, I have to really go through the motions to get her to be what I want her to be again, and things just don't seem to scale well with them. So like, let's take Viking He-Man here, bring him down. Viking He-Man, but these figures are pretty big. He seems to scale pretty well with these characters, except for, I think, Wonder Woman is, that's not terrible. You know what? I could get away with that. I could live with that. If I scale them to Masterverse, this line looks like it could work. You could argue that that is a good thing. And the reason I would say that is because the DC comic books, DC was doing the comic books for Masterverse anyway, and for Masters of the Universe. So if I scale them with Masters of the Universe and Masterverse in general, that's probably a good thing, and it works out in an interesting way because it kind of allows for that kind of continuity. There were Motu DC crossovers, and so that also kind of includes Storm Collectibles, which is handling things like Mortal Kombat. There was a Mortal Kombat DC crossover. So if I keep these figures to a specific aspect, it takes some of that edge off and removes some of the other problem that I'm having. These guys, personally, don't seem to scale with a single other action figure in terms of my DC stuff on that shelf. I don't know why. They just don't. They tower over everybody. Other Batman figures, Superman figures, Wonder Woman figures, everything. They're like tall. They're very tall. But Masterverse guys are big. And Masterverse guys kind of fit the idea. We're starting to see some of the characters that look a little bit like comic book counterparts and whatnot show up, and that's a good thing, because if they play that angle and I play that angle, it makes it less of an issue to put a Batman or a really cool Wonder Woman on this shelf where she just seems to fit. And you know what? I think I could swing that idea. I think I could get a couple of these figures. I'm not going to go crazy. I want Tim Drake Robin. I wouldn't mind getting a Catwoman. Either Anne Hathaway or the Arkham series Catwoman. Or even the 80s Catwoman would be pretty cool. It'd be cool to get the 80s Catwoman and put her with the Nightfall Batman. That actually might be pretty cool, actually. In fact, that might be something that I do. I'm not going to go crazy with the McFarlane line. I'm very much going to pick and choose what I buy and be very careful as to when I put down my money for it. But looking at the scaling for Masterverse may have actually made my decision a little bit easier as to whether or not to invest any time or resources into that line. So this has been interesting. Will I invest a little more now that I've had a chance to get the Nightfall Batman? This is the Dark Knight Batman, but the Nightfall Batman is specifically what kind of opened me up. I said I'm getting the Nightfall Batman. I already put it on pre-order. I know I'm getting it. I was looking forward to it. It's, you know, it's going to be on the way whenever. But I put that on pre-order because I was excited for that. I want the Tim Drake to go alongside him. I might want an 80s Catwoman to go alongside him. And I said, what's the possibility of opening up other parts of the line to myself? What is it? And should I put it in my head to possibly get a couple of these and remove some of the other characters that I've had, like I have a couple of Superman figures, and I showed you one of them that he has trouble standing up, and I wouldn't mind necessarily parting with him if I could get an absolute perfect, this is my new Superman to represent the shelf Superman. But so far, most of what I've seen from the McFarlane Toys line in terms of Superman is not something that I would want as my definitive Superman on the shelf. But I think I saw one that caught my attention that maybe I would be interested in. I don't know. I don't know how far this goes. I do know that I like this, even though I did notice a couple of issues with it. He'll look good on the shelf like that. And I don't necessarily love that Wonder Woman, and it really did put me off from buying other Wonder Woman characters from him. But maybe I'll buy the one from Shazam, the Gal one, because I love Gal. I do. I love her. I think she's an absolute godsend to the Wonder Woman character. Look, she can do bad movies, and I love her as Wonder Woman. So, I mean, that says something in general. It's just like Christopher Reeve. I loved Superman 1, 2, and believe it or not, I will watch 3 and 4 just because of Chris. Because that Superman, no matter what you put him in, even when he's in a bad movie, he just is so Superman that it works for me. I can forgive a lot through an actor or an actress if I feel like the embodiment is there. And Chris did that for me. And Gal has done that for me time and time again with Wonder Woman. I loved her in Batman v Superman. I loved her in Wonder Woman. I loved her in Wonder Woman 84. I loved her in Justice League. I loved her in the other Justice League. And I just recently loved her in The Flash. She is terrific. An absolute embodiment of what I feel a Wonder Woman should be. And it makes me a little scared to wonder who's going to take her place if this actually is a full-scale reboot that we're about to look at in terms of getting a bunch of new actors and starting on a whole new idea for the DC movies. I don't know. I don't know if anybody honestly knows because of the way these things go up and down, and then sometimes they're single standalone movies, and sometimes, yeah, they are part of the broader picture, and then sometimes they are, but they're not. And right now, I don't know. I don't know if she will continue to be Wonder Woman. I hope so. Because as far as I'm concerned, she's a legacy Wonder Woman. Just like some people play Superman once and then they move on with their career. Brandon, good Superman. I will argue Brandon is a good Superman. Is he a legacy Superman? No. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just what I'm saying. You can still like him. He can even be your favorite. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying characters that hold legacies get like 10-year long, like that, like they dedicate. They're that character. They're recognizable as that character for like a decade or more. Like Logan, Wolverine. That's Hugh Jackman. Even if other people could play him and probably play him better than Hugh Jackman ever did or ever will, it's arguable. It could be done. It could be done. Not one actor is the absolute end-all be-all. You could always get a recast, and you could be amazingly shocked at what that recast does for the entirety of all of it. I mean, characters get reinvented all the time. It's a natural thing in terms of cinema and in terms of what superheroes are. They are the modern day mythology. They get recasted. They are legacies. They will outlive every actor and every writer that takes on the property. It's just what it is. So you got to imagine that others are on their way, but so far, Linda and Gal, they are the absolute legacy Wonder Woman. They are. Without a doubt. And so I'll be interested to pick up that figure and see what I think. And then hopefully that kind of gets me on board with McFarlane Toys, because I think they handle their price point pretty well for what you get, and I do like the sculpts. And I got to admit, this is an absolute fantastic Batman. Maybe he could move better. Maybe I would wish for better posing ability and whatnot. But for what he is, just a solid Batman standing on the shelf, you know what? He might be one of the better Batmans that I'll ever put on the shelf in terms of his price point. That's important. Toys in the range of $20 to $30 sit in a very specific price point. Toys in the $80 and $90 range are a very different price point. We're arguing very different semantics at that time. But that's everything that I think I have to say on this toy topic, and I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.